Hi everyone, it's Renee and Nadia with Living Beyond Limits. Look, I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today is going to be amazing. I have an amazing guest, Coach Dea. But before we start, I just want to say, you know what I'm going to say? Hit the subscribe and the like button. Living Beyond Limits, again, as I always share, it's about encouraging and motivating individuals to just get that extra push that they need to operate in their gifts, talents, and abilities. So I'm going to bring Coach in now. I'm super excited to have her. Good morning, Coach Dea. How are you, beautiful?
Good morning, Renee, and thank you so much for having me as a guest. What a pleasure and a blessing it is.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to have you. This is amazing. Before we get started, I just want to share a little bit about Coach Dea. Coach Dea is a multi talented, award winning entrepreneur and philanthropist who believes in the power of connecting with others. She is founder and host of the award winning podcast Love Most, singer and songwriter, and published contributor, a native of Brazil, dancer in tango with Al Pacino, the movie, currently on the board of directors of Humanity Healing International, appointed elder for Michelle McKinney Hammond Ministries, and the president of Dea Music Ministry LLC, and a lot more. And Coach Dea, if I missed, didn't say anything correctly, let me know. But I'm super excited to have you today. Today, please, just share with us, you know, um, how did you even get to the point where you have that sense of freedom and you have that sense of peace and joy that you have is just, overflowing after a lot of the things that you have been through. It's like amazing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. And if I may add, I wanted to just let people know what I do is I am a women's empowerment coach, a marriage and family and divorce women's coach, so relationship coach, as well as an award-winning podcast host of the podcast you mentioned, Love Most, the podcast with Dea. And I am very passionate about connecting with people. And this is why I'm so happy I got to meet you at that networking event. Now, to answer your question about freedom and how to find joy and wholeness and happiness and joy in my life. How did I do this after so many struggles? I think this is a wonderful topic and conversation for today, Renee. Honestly, I think freedom, first of all, is something that I wanted to make a few distinctions about in a little bit. But just to answer your question in a few words, how I found it, right? It is about, self awareness. For me, it was about a sense of responsibility for my own healing. And when I started searching for what that meant to me, I started to find the steps necessary to get there. For me, being a woman of faith, obviously, is front and center. So that really helped me in my journey of self discovery. And I think when we are willing to really look for what it was, what way we took part in the way that we were in life, in our own lives, from the past to the present, we get to choose how to walk on forward. So again, in other words, when you are paying attention to what was your role in your pain, which sometimes is subconscious, sometimes is a byproduct of trauma or life events that are difficult, you can choose. You get to choose. You have the freedom to choose how to have a role in your piece. And that's very intentional. So that's what I did. I hope that answers your question.
No, that's really great. And I think, and please, share as you want to. And I thought when you were speaking, I thought about the fact that a lot of times things can happen in life and we're more focused on, other exteriors or other people instead of trying to have that reflection time within ourselves. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, and so this ties into what I was going to say about freedom, right? So starting off with freedom, and I know we want to talk about how that allows us to get to have access to that part of life that's wholeness, fulfillment, and joy. So let me just make some distinctions about freedom, right? Because freedom is very powerful. And I think that the most important thing to know about freedom is not something that you earn, it's something that we all own. We own our freedom. We have the choice to make the right to make the choices, to live the life in the way we wish, right? We're given free will. So we own our freedom. We have the power to declare, decree good things about ourselves. We have the right to make choices. We have the right to love in certain ways. So I think freedom is very powerful, but it comes with great responsibility, right? It's not something to be used against other people. Obviously, we use our freedom for ourselves, but we also have to respect the freedom of others, of cultures, of desires of others, the way we interact in the world. I think that it's powerful because we get to choose how to take part in life. We get to choose how to live authentically, right? And we also can pursue our own life meaning. Okay. Now, freedom isn't just about overcoming external constraints. It's actually more about how we um, achieve our own internal liberation. Okay. We have to have access to that. And we do that through some steps, which I'll mention later. And I also think that we have the right to steer away from negativity. That way we can find wholeness, peace, and joy.
That was good. I love it. I love it. And Coach Dale, what about some of the negativity? Like when I think about freedom, also protecting ourselves. Sometimes people have family members where, or people that it's like it's difficult. How do you determine? Sometimes it's parents, that could disturb our peace and freedom. Children could disturb our peace and freedom. And how do you feel about the boundaries, or how do we do that? It's tough for some people.
It is tough.
Mm.
Well, first of all, understanding the boundaries is more about ourselves than others, right? A lot of times when we're thinking of boundaries, we're thinking, I'm putting boundaries for them. No, decide how much access you give to people, whether it be family members, co-workers, neighbors. You decide that. Set the boundaries for yourself. Listen, one thing that I love to say as a coach, it is so hard to change ourselves. Can you imagine how hard it is to change other people? I don't even try it. Let it go. People come as
Mhm.
they are. Set boundaries for yourself. That is saying, I will give access as I see fit. This is where freedom comes in. We own the right to be free. So you
Mm.
get to decide how much access to give to people. And I think that when it comes to family members, you have to decide through self-awareness at what point in the relationship with others is it toxic? Is it codependent? Are you so hyper independent that you want to take care of everybody? You have to make those distinctions so that you learn how to operate. So self-awareness is really important. And I'll go over the 4 keys to unlock that inner freedom. Okay, there's some ways that we can do this. But I think that this subject about, especially with family, right, it's very difficult to make those distinctions and decisions to operate under how much access do I give. And that's about self-preservation. You have to protect yourself. You have to protect what you see as a vision for yourself. A lot of times we want things, but we walk different steps that don't align with what we want. And then we wonder why it doesn't work, right? We must
Mhm.
walk the talk. We must do things that align with our desires. However, way people are different. Some people choose to do it through their faith, and so they leave it up to the Holy Spirit or the higher power, which is great. Some people who may
Mhm.
not have access to that have ways to doing it. But I think the most important thing is please live doing the things that are aligned with what you want. A lot of times we are fighting the external constraints. We're fighting what the world says to do and what other people are doing that we want to imitate. Try to be as authentic as possible. Okay. Try to
Mhm.
connect with what's here in you,
Mhm.
not what's done to you or for you, or what you think the world says it needs to be. Really try to connect with yourself.
Yeah, and something you said, and I guess that rolls back to the self-reflection, because some people, even their inner self is not has to be corrected first, because they think that, it's just something you said that made me think about that, because people think that, okay, yeah, I'm going to set boundaries and I know how to set them, but then they wonder why they're still a little that uneasiness is still there, because their inner self hasn't even figured out, that's not good. You know what I mean? And what I'm allowing is not good, and that takes time too. That's good. Thank
Well,
you.
it's a process, right? Although think about it
Mm.
like this. If we continue to see ourselves as humans and not superhuman, right? We're going to make mistakes, and that's a part of the journey. I think that the freedom is a journey. Freedom isn't a thing. It's a process. It is a way of living, right? So it'll take a little bit of rise and fall, right? You're going to fall, you're going to get up, you're going to do things in a different way. I think that we need to be, kinder to ourselves in the process as well. It doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect journey. Okay. It is not easy to see. The execution is difficult. One thing I like to say, especially when it comes to operating from a place of peace, like when you get to that place that inner knowing, well, guess what? The pursuit of peace is not peaceful. It's labored. It's not tumultuous. It's not supposed to be a crazy experience, but it's labored. Okay.
Mhm.
Which means that
Mhm.
it requires work, time, effort, patience. Okay. Mercy. That way, think about it. In order for yourself to be transformed in some way, you need to allow life to unfold, but continue to make the right choices, continue to do more for you. The more you know about you, the more you understand about you, the better you will receive the world outside of you.
Hmm. I like that. And I think I love what you said about to have patience with yourself, have grace with yourself, and I think that could be tough for some people, and hey, it's like you said, it's a process. We can't be so hard on ourselves and just let the process happen. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
So I wanted to share, right, some four keys to unlock this space of this inner freedom, because I believe that it's something that begins here, right? It's not so much about having to decide how to engage in the world, how to take part in things. Obviously, that's a part of it, but the other part of it was what I mentioned earlier, which is, something that, first of all, again, I want to say this again, it's not something you earn, it's something that you already own. Okay. But in order for you to unlock this inner freedom, you need to cultivate a life that's peaceful and joyful and whole, right? We need to do these four things. Okay. And here are the four keys. One of them is self awareness, and I'll talk to it a little bit in a little bit. The other one is acceptance. The third one is gratitude. And the fourth one is living in the present. Okay, back to the first one, self-awareness. Now, I've said this here, and you have said this here, right? Knowing ourselves starts with understanding your needs, setting your boundaries, coming from a place of self-preservation. A lot of times in life, self-preservation is more important of than reconciliation of any kind. Self-preservation more important than reconciliation of any kind. This is where you get to say no in a healthy way. Say no, not for me, no, maybe another time, and not to fight with yourself for having to say no to certain things, especially when it comes to family dynamics, because we feel obligated in some way, right? So we need to set those boundaries, right? You have to explore your values. And I'm talking about foundational core values. Where do they come from? How do they impact you in the way you engage in the world? Are you aware of what they are? And do you know that sometimes your own core values can impact the way you enable people to disrupt your own journey? So being
Mhm.
aware of it. So that's why self-awareness is so important. Okay. So the other one is acceptance. Okay. Accepting that life is not perfect. And when we talk about giving ourselves permission, mercy, realizing that we're human, that we're going to rise and fall, make mistakes, try again. We're going to repeat some of those things, some of the same things, and then come out with a newfound perspective. Accept that is a process. Practice this inner knowing, this inner freedom with self-compassion. Okay. Forgive yourself when you make the mistakes, and just embrace your journey, because it's going to be different than everybody else's. Okay. Number three, one that I love, gratitude. Why? Gratitude is the portal to more blessings. Okay. The more gratitude you have, the more you focus on what you have, the less you worry about the things you want. Okay. And here why this is so important. Sometimes what we want is not necessarily what we need. Okay, it's great to have some of the things we want fulfilled, because if we have a vision, we have a plan, we can pursue certain things, right? But the fact of the matter is that sometimes what we need is more important, and we don't always know what that is. So being grateful is kind of like
Mhm.
saying, hey, I may not have everything I want, but I love and I'm grateful and I appreciate everything I have. And when you do that, you create a space for receiving more. Why? Because you see yourself deserving, right? And this is really important, to see yourself deserving. And number four, and last but not least, number four is living in the present. Okay, why is this important? When we worry about the future, we disrupt what's going on in the moment. Why? Because we don't access what's going on in the moment. We're constantly thinking about things of the future. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It's kind of like the same thing as the past. I heard the other day that there are 2 days that we'll never have in our lives: yesterday and tomorrow. We only have today. In fact, we only have right now. Even today is the 24 hours. We don't have 10 hours from now or even a minute from now. We have right now, this moment that I'm speaking, right? So you have to really be mindful about the moment you're in, immersing yourself in every single experience as if it was the only one, the last one, right? Living fully. And this is, I think, actually how you find joy, to be completely immersed in the experience. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you decided to clean your deck, right? And then you do it joyfully, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait to experience. I actually did this yesterday. I had to clean. I do this at the end of June, mid-June on, I clean my deck for the summer. And this is where I spend all my meals. It's beautiful, it's quiet, and I have to take all of the pollen out, all the spider webs out. And instead of being like, usually stressed out about doing it, I just took great joy. I got to spend time with my older son who was helping me clean. And I was really focused on the moment, thinking of how wonderful it'll be to spend time, as I always have done throughout all the summers that I've lived here in this home, just appreciating that I had this opportunity to do this. And yes, I was looking a little bit into the future, knowing that I was going to have all these great times, but appreciating that I actually got to do that. I got to clean, I got to prepare, I got to spend time with my son. So be present, be present.
That's good. Coach Dea, I, when you were talking, a couple of things that stood out. I think sometimes people get stuck, even when they say, "I'm going to start this journey of healing. I'm going to, I'm moving along," and it becomes more talk sometimes than it is moving, because you look up and 2 years later, the person's still in the same spot, saying that they know what they want, but it's like they're frozen or something happened. And it's like they're behind this wall and they're looking out into this thing like that they would like to have. And then at some point it starts becoming like they can't obtain it now at this point. Like, that was a thought. I'm good right here. And we'll even use scriptures and God and say, but he'll supply all my needs. You know what I mean? And thinking that just saying something instead of putting, like you said, start the journey, take the steps. And I've seen that sometimes, and that's disheartening. A lot of times, what do you think happens with people, and how do they get out of that to know that, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm kind of faking it to myself that I'm, starting my journey, but I'm really not. I don't know if you've seen that before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes sense. Here's why people fall into that pattern. Number one, one thing about, call a manifestation, call desire, call plan vision, we cannot just execute that from a place of wanting, right? We have to actually become it. So they say you don't manifest what you want, and manifest who you are. So in order for you to achieve, if you want to achieve, obviously, after any type of manifestation, desire, thought, vision, you got to take action, right? So in order for you to do that, a lot of people get overwhelmed. I'm going to give you a very simple example. Hey, I want to work out. I want to look fit. And then you start thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to go to the gym 7 days a week for 2 hours a day. Too much. Take small steps, but take a step. Okay, a little step, one step every day. At the end of 30 days, you've taken 30 steps. Now, it may not be going to the gym every day. It may be deciding to go to the gym 3 times a week for 15 minutes. It may be starting to pick up the dumbbells every day for 10 minutes while you're on the computer. Every time you take a break, you lift the dumbbells for, 10 times. And at the top of every hour, you could do 10 squats, right? If you do it in a small way, maybe it's not walking 5 miles. Maybe it's taking that 7-minute video that's on social, on YouTube. There are many videos of 7-minute workouts for core, for arms, for legs. You can do some of them even sitting down. 7 minutes isn't a lot. but 7 minutes every day equals to doing something every day. And I always say, do at least one thing every day towards your goal, no matter how small it is. Could be a phone call. It could be looking on a website. It could be reading a page of a book. One thing every day at the end of a year is 365 things that you've done towards your goal. We must learn how to pace ourselves. And a lot of people fall out of that category because the execution is not a strategy of achievement. They don't have a strategy. So they fall apart because they get overwhelmed and they start to procrastinate. So again, what's the most important thing? Follow the thought, the desire, the plan, the manifestation with an action.
Mhm. No, that's really good. I just started getting back into the gym myself, from being focused on a lot of other things. And you're right. And that is so true. Not taking any steps is worse than taking a couple of steps each time, and then
You know, when I
seeing
go to
that.
the gym, what I say to myself as I'm working out, struggling, I go, something's better than nothing. I say this
Yes.
so many times while I'm in the gym because like something's better than nothing. Do a little bit. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be three reps. Some people can't even do 3 repetitions of 15 because it's a lot sometimes. Do one.
Right.
Do the whole,
Right.
do your arms, your core, your legs once, 15 times, 15, you know, and then you don't have to do the reps if you don't feel like it. You could do that on the first month. Maybe on the second month, you do 2 repetitions, 2 sets of 15. In the sixth month, you do 3 sets of 15. Build up to it. Okay. Don't expect it's kind of like I want to go to the gym, but I want to look fit before I go. No, you go to the gym to build, to get better, to get stronger, right? Give yourself that space. Okay.
Right.
Operate from freedom, not from, a lot of people go in doing these things full of anxiety. They're trapped. Don't get yourself in a trap. Just allow yourself to flow with it. Listen, we only flow in the path, through the path of least resistance. What's the path of least resistance? That's what you got to decide. What can you do? It doesn't have to be what your neighbor is doing, running 10 miles every day. It could be a walk to the corner. Do you feel free doing that? You feel good. You find joy doing that a little bit instead of having to do everything else that everybody else is doing. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. Don't compare your reality to people's appearance either, because you don't know what people are going through in order to get to do what they're doing. Just do your thing, flow, decide to flow with it.
Yeah. And that's good. And that takes me to something else. What you said about other people. I think a lot of times we get stuck there too. I know we live in a day of social media and we see a lot more than we did or our parents did, 20, 30 years ago. You read the paper, but you don't, you see things, but there's no comparison today. I think people can fall into the trap of comparing themselves and just listening to you say what you just said about that comparison. And then that causes you to be stuck because you don't look like this person. You don't look like that person. They achieved something and you don't feel like you can achieve that. And I love what you said about, hey, don't focus on everybody else. I love that. Yeah.
I have a cute little
That was good.
story that I use with my clients. I say, look, imagine if you and I had the same shoe size, okay? And we went to the store together and we bought the same shoe, same company, same color, same size, same brand, everything. And we go home and we start wearing those shoes and we wear them every day. And in 6 months, you say, hey, let's switch our shoes, okay? When I put your shoes on, it's going to feel different to me, meaning we had the same exact product. We wore it for the same number of days and hours, but when we switched, it didn't feel the same to us, right? Meaning that everybody walks a different step in a different way, even if we're living some of the same circumstances. Meaning in relationships, we may do some of the same things, but your relationship is unique to you. Your walk is unique to you. Your decisions are unique to you. So the role in your peace, how you choose to walk, to have a fulfilling life, how you choose to find peace and joy in your life, it's going to be unique to you. You can't do what everybody else is doing. Sure, it's good to kind of learn from other people. I like that. But I think there is a limit, right? You can learn and observe, but don't absorb everything that everybody else is doing, because everything you do for you, it's going to be slightly different. I mean, even in our own hands, our own fingerprints are different from finger to finger, right? Everything in our bodies is not symmetrical, identical. One side is different than the other. So it's the same when we're dealing with ourselves and other people in the world around us. Our experience is going to be unique to us, right? What we choose to do is going to be unique to us. That's what I'm saying. The most important thing is walk the talk that matches what you want, what you see, what your vision is, what your desire is, right? Because that way it's going to feel authentic and real.
Yes. And I think, and I'm actually going back to number one, something you said about self-awareness and acceptance. And there are people who look in the mirror now, internally and externally, and they don't like who they are. So, what would be like a good suggestion, or what would you say to someone who's like, I can't even take the first step because I'm looking in the mirror, I don't like who I am, I don't even like how I feel, if somebody says that. And there are people in that place, and they don't know how to take the first step. It's tough.
Right. I'm very big on language, right? I do believe that what we say to ourselves about ourselves impacts us the most. It is not uncommon to see people using external things to make themselves look better and feel better. And I'm a great believer that in part, the way we look affects the way we feel. So on a physical sense, if you don't like what you see, let's say, oh, I think I'm too fat, because a lot of us say that, right? Well, make better choices. Even if it's one meal out of the 3 meals or however many meals you do a day, eat a salad. Make healthier choices. Walk for 15 minutes. There are things that we have access immediately, okay, that will grant us this way that we feel about ourselves, the way we look and what we say to ourselves about ourselves, that you have access to immediately. So from a physical sense, yes, it might be easier to do. From an emotional sense, you need to start saying, coming from mindset, right? You need to start saying good things about yourself, no matter how hard it is. I know for myself, standing in front of the mirror, it was the place that I tore myself apart the most, until I learned then that what I was seeing in the mirror was a reflection of my comparison to the rest of the world. And then I decided to say to myself, hey, you may not be look exactly the way you want, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good start. So I started saying, I'm beautiful. I am loving. I started to repeat my qualities, and I did it in front of the mirror because it was the hardest place. We think that the world is hard on us and other people are hard on us. No, we are the hardest on ourselves. Okay. So learn that and work with yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and speak to yourself. Say, no, not today. Today I'm beautiful. Today I choose to say nice things about myself. What you say to yourself about yourself, believe it or not, it's what's impacting you the most.
Yeah, those self affirmations. Oh my gosh, they're so important. And I believe many years ago, that's what even actually helped me through my healing process. I didn't feel like what I was saying, but
Right.
eventually it caught up too,
Eventually,
right?
yeah. I was
And
just gonna say it.
yeah,
Say it even if you don't believe it. Okay. I have a sticker in my
yes.
mirror that says, I am love. And so, because I think that when we want to be loved, we need to be loved. We need to be loving. We want to have
Hmm.
trust in a relationship with someone, family member, partner, whatever it may be. Are you trustworthy? Because trust is a safe place. It's not just about being faithful or being loyal to someone, right? It's about that safe place. Where do you fall with emotional safety for other people? Are you making people feel emotionally safe? Can they come to you and let their guard down, right? So you want to feel like
Hmm.
you can trust somebody, show up trustworthy. So it's becoming the person you want to attract. A lot of times, self awareness is more about that. We feel like, oh, I can't be, I don't feel safe enough, I don't do this. Become it. Manifest who you are, not what you want. Become it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. It was something else that you said. I thought about that freedom, and that we have control, and you went there too. It's like we literally have control, and sometimes people don't realize it, but we do. We have control over if we don't like how we look, or we don't like how we feel, or something like that. Like you said, hey, you then switch up a few things.
Right. Right.
I
Absolutely.
and I love that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we can always make healthier choices. Okay. The trouble that I see now is that we're people when they think about control, they think about external control, and that we do not have. We have control over nothing except ourselves. We have control about how to take part, how to execute certain things for ourselves, how to be in certain environments. We make those choices for ourselves. That we can control. We cannot control anything else. Okay. And I think that acceptance, self acceptance is really, again, an internal, it's an inside job. Happiness, fulfillment, joy, gratitude, much like success and failure, right? They're all inside jobs. We choose how to take part. We choose, happiness is a state of mind. It's simply saying, hey, I may not have everything that I want, but I love everything I have. And waking up and noticing the things you have as opposed to what you don't have. It's saying,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I don't have that. Oh, I wish I had a big truck. Well, you have a car. You don't have to
Right.
wait for the bus. You got a car. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciating that you have blessings. And that is the portal to more blessings. Accepting ourselves is difficult. Self compassion is difficult for most people. And I do think it's not as simple as we're saying. I want to put that out there. As let's disclose this. Okay. As a coach, I can tell you that where people struggle the most is with self love, self compassion. It's much easier to give it to others, to see it in others and give forgiveness and mercy to others than it is to ourselves. We're much harder on ourselves. But what is important to understand is love as it's meant to be, not romantic love, but love as loving others, accepting others, being inclusive can't come from a place other than self love. And this is one of the most important core values, self love, right? And when you practice self love and you have self awareness, self discipline, self expression, and self respect, you're going to respect, love, appreciate others in a different way from a place of wholeness. Okay. We can't be, give, and act towards others if we don't become, act, and give ourselves permission to live within the inner knowing of what freedom means to us. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
freedom is beautiful, it's powerful. It's also something that you already own, and you have to access that. Like you said, there are things we can do. You don't like something, go do something about it. Don't like something about your hair, go take care of your hair. Okay, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you got to do. Okay, is it your skin? Take care of your skin, eat good things, drink water, get a good product. Sometimes you could just put coconut oil on your face, right? It doesn't have to be the
Mm-hmm.
most expensive product that's
Right.
out there. You can do things. There's so much out there. I think we're so much luckier because then back in the day, I mean, look, I'm 59 years old, right? So when I was younger, when I was 15 or 20, we didn't have access to the things that a 20-year-old has access today. There's so much more available today in terms of books, podcasts, videos, products. We have access to information so much quicker. It's a blessing and a curse in many ways, but I believe that as a tool is fantastic, right? So use that to your advantage, right? You have control over what you do for yourself. You can make choices for yourself. I'm not saying it's easy, it's simple, but it's not that easy, but it is attainable. Okay, it is attainable.
Mm-hmm. Coach Dea, have come across oftentimes hearing people say, when they're sharing, and I don't know if you've seen this or heard this, I'm here because of this. I'm where I am because of that. I'm here because this person did this to me 10 years ago, and I'm here because this person did that to me 5 years ago, or I was in this situation. And I just sense that sometimes people feel better saying that. It makes them feel better for, it makes them feel better for where they are. It's almost like, well, I feel better, saying this, so that it's almost like an excuse, for not
Mhm.
moving forward. And I love what you said about the whole going back to that self-reflection again, and taking ownership, and people probably say, well, I didn't do anything. And a lot of times maybe the person, let's just say, was like a con artist. Let's just go there. Let's be a little extreme, right? But we still have to learn how to forgive ourselves. We still have to learn how to move forward. What do you share with people who just feel like as they're talking, it's like, okay, for 1 hour, I heard you say this person did this and I'm here because of that and I'm here. Then you go, okay, we've been talking about this for like 5 days. Now,
Well,
where do you start? How do you start steering them again?
yeah, remember when I started talking about freedom, I said it comes with great responsibility, right? And that is for you to realize that whether we want to hear this or not, we choose how to take part in life. We have a role in our pain. We definitely do, even without blame. This isn't about blame. It's about how you chose to take part. Now, for people that are having bad experiences with other people where something was done to them, right? Sometimes we subconsciously engage. It could be that maybe in the relationship, for example, since that's my area of expertise, you became a hope junkie. You felt it fell in complacency and you wanted things to change and you decided, oh, I'm going to stick with this. And instead you got stuck with it. But that's because if your core value was relationship, marriage, loyalty, you stuck with it, family, but that core value backfired because you couldn't identify that you were with the wrong person. You see, it's not that simple. It's very, very, very layered. However, here's what I like to point out. If you're listening and you find yourself in this position where you're saying, well, they did this to me and they did that to me, guess what? We have the freedom to walk away, even though it's not simple at times. And here's what I like to say. Reason why we have to make a decision and how to proceed with caution, deciding that the role in our pain might have been something that maybe we didn't have quote unquote control over because someone did something to us. We have to be paying attention to what's happening in us. What are you going to do going forward? Are you going to choose to live your life in contempt, anger, resentment? Or are you going to say, you know what? That happened. It wasn't the best thing. I guess I allowed some of it to happen because sometimes, even in a subconscious way, we don't even know we're allowing it, but we are. I learned something so long ago that was so impactful. We train people to treat us the way they do, especially in abusive relationships. And I think we need to
Mm.
accept that without knowing ourselves, sometimes we subconsciously allow due to trauma or due to maybe something that has happened in the past to us that we're not really aware in the moment. That's okay. Okay, give yourself grace for this because it's very common. All right. But going forward, right, we can choose to step differently into in the moment that we live in the present. You can say, you know what, that might have happened to me, but that's not who I am. My struggle is not who I am. The situation I was in wasn't who I am. And I didn't become anything because of what was done to me. I felt things, sure, but I'm not damaged. I may be broken, but I'm not damaged. And because I'm not damaged, I choose to walk a different way. Because you know what? What they've done to you is nothing compared to what's happening in you. And if you allow that of which is happening to you to be a negative emotion, whether it be resentment, contempt, you decide to give up on yourself, pay attention to what's happening in you, okay? And make it a commitment to be a beautiful life. Walk every day and say, I'm grateful for what I have. You know, it's not our place to fix people, to change people. We don't have the capacity, even the right to tell anyone how to feel about anything. We only have control of us, of ourselves, of our inner, practice inner freedom before you practice anything else. What does that look like to you? What does it feel to feel joyful, wholesome, and feel peace? You have to work towards that, right? It's not easy. I said it's simple, but not easy, but it is attainable. You need to find what that means to you. Okay, don't worry about what happened to you. Work on what's happening in you. I have clients that come to me with the worst possible trauma, but yet they say, hey, the life I'm living today is beautiful because it may be somebody else's prayer. What I have today may not be everything that I want, but it is someone else's prayer. What I have right now, where I live, what I drive is better than a lot of people. And I'm not saying by that settle for less. I'm saying accept that what you have is wonderful. There are blessings all around you, and you will continue to receive more blessings the more grateful you become. Okay, there is a different way of living in spite of the trauma. Now, when we're talking about deep things such as trauma and things like that, I also say one of the actions we need to take is seek help. Okay, you're not alone in this. Now, everybody can't afford coaching or therapy. I get it. There are books, there are videos, there are podcasts, there are tons of people talking about it, such as this conversation that brings up awareness for the space other people are in. or awareness into the space, into the mind space you may be in. And I think that you need to also take action towards that, right? Be responsible for your healing. No matter who caused your pain, you are responsible for your healing. Okay, this is really,
Mhm.
really, really important.
I like that. I like that. You're right. And I think sometimes when we're in a certain place, we might feel like somebody else is responsible. The world is responsible. My boss better not give me a hard time because he's responsible for, my healing because I'm hurting. My kids, like they better, they're responsible for. I mean, and you're so right. And that happens, I guess, quite often with people when they're hurting. You feel like everybody, you owe me now, not just the person that hurt me. Now everybody owes me, but I love that. And like you said, the fact that we can and have the power to take full responsibility says a lot. That means nobody can hold us back, from
Right.
where we're going.
I think people get stuck for two reasons. One is, it's so much easier to live in pain because it's familiar. Okay. It's hard to find happiness
Yes.
because the pursuit of happiness, peace, joy is not really that easy. Okay. It's labored. And it's easier to stay where you are, right? It's easier to stay with what's familiar because you also get to blame other people for your pain and stay in that place. But for those who are seeking to evolve, if you're listening, don't do this alone. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to have all the answers. When I started my journey of healing, I had no idea how I was going to heal. I just knew that I needed a different life where I wasn't going to make it. It's really about it's a personal decision. Okay. You get to a point. Sometimes some people need to get to that breaking point when they can't do it anymore on their own. And they know that if they don't change something, if something doesn't change, they're not going to make it. That's what happened to me. And then seek help, because a lot of people are wasting their time doing what I call toxic venting. They talk about it, they tell a friend, and they repeat the same story over and over, but they don't do anything about it. We need to take action towards our healing. We need to get help, find people that are equipped to help. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to say about, talking about how if I wasn't here, if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't be here. I want to talk about it on the flip side, how important it is to have someone to impart to you good things. So look for those people. Look for the light workers. Look for the helpers. There are plenty of people out there who are going to impart to you the things you don't see for yourself. In one end, people can do things that will impact you in a negative way. On another end, people can do something for you. And without that impartation, you'd never be where you are today. That also happened to me when I was struggling and I was under in my own struggle in my relationship. In my marriage, I couldn't see myself out of it. And two people said one day that'll become a ministry. And I was like, felt like they had eight heads. I said, what? I can't. How can I help somebody else? I didn't even see it. As I was seeking help for myself, eventually I got to the point that I said, wow, I wonder how many people could benefit from learning what I just learned. I took a course. I went and did my marriage and family counseling program. I did Kingdom School of Ministry. I did, I'm a certified trauma healing facilitator now. So all of that work made me think and led me to believe that I could help other people. You see, because two people said that to me years ago when I couldn't even see it for myself. So there is that as well. It's for positive or for negative, and you have to really, when you try to associate with people that are equipped to help, you're going to hear good things. And who knows, maybe your struggle will become the key to someone else's prison door someday.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And I truly believe that, Coach Dea, when God brings us out of our situations, we have a testimony, and like you said, he's going to use us one way or the other, whether it's for a family member, whether it's for this type of platform, whether it's for friends on the job, whatever, but he's definitely going to use it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Look, if you have any last words or anything you want to share, but also please include how people can contact you and look you up, if they want to reach out to you for coaching or anything.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to say about the conversation that we had today, so I just want to remind everybody, that freedom, much like healing, much like anything else in life, is a journey. Okay. This isn't a one trial type of thing. Okay. It's not a destination, it's a journey, meaning that you're going to walk that walk. Okay. Cultivate self awareness, and acceptance and gratitude and presence, be present. I think you can unlock inner peace, wholeness, and joy by living the life that means the most to you, the life that feels right to you, that will resonate with you, and you will know it because you will feel it here. Okay. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And as far as finding me, you can find me on Instagram at coachingwithdea. Dea spells DEA. On my bio, there are links to my website. I will be soon offering a workshop on foundational core values, as well as a mentorship program that I'm launching in September. And also, for those of you who don't know me, I coach 101 as well. I coach groups and I speak publicly. But to set up and to book a call with me, I offer a free discovery call without the need to commit to any sessions. So if you want to talk to me or get to know me or you want some advice, I offer a 30-minute discovery call. So connect with me on Instagram at coachingwithdea. Or you can also email me at coachingwithdea@gmail.com.
Thank you, Coach Dea. That's awesome. Exciting things and events and things that you have going on. I'm telling you, and it's going to be such a blessing for those who are connecting with you and will connect with you. Guys, thank you again, Coach Dea. You know we're going to be in touch and we're going to have to do this again.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. What a blessing to speak on this very important subject. Loved it.
Absolutely. And everyone, look, Coach Dea's links and everything that she just talked about will be in the description box. Stay tuned. And just a couple of quick items. Hey, subscribe and hit the like button before you leave. Just a quick reminder, we have a prayer workshop coming up July 11th called Precision Prayer, and Marian Wright is going to be facilitating that. And the second thing is we have Dress for Success coming up. It's actually a healing workshop that's August 8th. And then the third thing we have is Healthy Body Workshop. That's September 12th. So a lot of things coming. Coach Dea, thank you so much again. We'll be talking soon. I'll be updating you about my success in the gym.
Yes, girl. Love it.
Thank you so much. Love you. Everybody, until next time, be blessed. Love you and have an amazing week. See you later. Bye.